I'm going to basically try and trigger it. It causes our system to slow down, and it can cause serious loops. Well, we're going to try and get some of that in. We've got probably another hour and a half to go, or 2 hours. So we'll be here basically for quite some time. So we're getting in everyone's questions. Okay, so Mihalis says 2,500 word limit is only for fiction. No, it's for everything. It's for fiction, nonfiction, you name it. You cannot produce content or put content out there that is below 2,500 words. If you do that, Amazon is going to say it's a bad experience for the bio, and they're going to ask you to amend that. Now, this has been happening. This is not something that's basically recent. What Amazon has done is that they have their bot, and that it's the bot that triggers the manual review, and the bot has to look on the number of words, as in the word count, and then it looks on the page count. So if those two parameters match, less than 2,500 words, less than probably 5 or 6 pages, okay, guess what? This needs to be reviewed. We need to stop that. Definitely, that's going to be a problem. So do not, at this particular time, publish anything that is going to be below 2,500 words, whether it's for fiction and or nonfiction. Don't do it. It's going to be blocked by Amazon. Okay, Specky says, can you add your other books in the back of your book as a link without an affiliate link? Yes, you can. It's encouraged. That's called basically what you call your back matter. I like to just call it the end matter. In the past, what we used to do was that we started out, and I think this is probably a good example here, right? So in the past, what we did was that we looked on publisher's notes, dedications, the different chapters, and of course, we ended the book with about the author. Key thing here is that what we found out is that there's several influencers that influence a purchase. The first thing, of course, is the ranking in terms of where the book resides and the reviews that the book has. That's the main one. So if the book has 100 good reviews and 2 negative reviews, that influences the purchase. Of course, price is also an influencer. But one of the things that most people look on are, who is the person who is writing this book? Is that person qualified to write this book? Who is the author? Who is that guy? Who is that young lady? Who is that person? Who is that woman? Who is that person who's writing that book? What qualifies her to create this particular type of content? What we've started doing is that we've began putting that information here, which is about the author, directly below here. So we have our image appears, we've got our title here, and right below this, where we have here, we put the about the author. And with the about the author, we put other links to other books that the author has done. Because what we want to tell that person who has purchased the book is, well, Mary, or Daisy in this particular case, Daisy is an expert in what it is that she's doing. And this is the reason why, this is her background, and so on, so on, so. What we've seen is that we've seen typically around 8 to 9% increase in terms of the sale when the person actually hits or clicks that link and gets to our page. So once that person gets to that particular page, we would see basically anywhere between 5 to 6% conversion. We're seeing a little bit more than that. So we're seeing about 8 to 9% conversion. No. So what you realize is that once you take into account all those influencers, that's going to be a key part of it. So what you deliver here in your sample, what people can actually see, that preview, that is what determines it. Because if you think about, something like a movie, I'm a movie fan and I like watching movies, and I think about a couple of things. I look on Rotten Tomatoes and I say, what are the critics saying about this particular movie? Are they saying the movie is good? Critics are giving it, it's not splat, it's a good tomato. So it's good movie. That's one. Two, I'm going to look on the actors. Who are the actors? Are these actors that I like? Are these actors really good actors? So you would basically qualify that or say that's typically synonymous with the author of the book. Who's the author, right? Who are the actors in the movie? And then finally, you're going to look on the trailer. So is the trailer a really good trailer? Is the trailer really, hot? Is it something I like? Ooh, there's a lot of explosions in this movie, or there, oh, that's a pretty attractive woman who's in that movie. Oh, Jessica Alba. Definitely, I want to watch that movie. So you're looking on the preview or the trailer. So those three things we've seen are key influences to the purchase. You have control over all of that. Primarily, one, by saying A, you have control over the quality of the content. The quality of the content must be good. That's one. You have control over that. Two, you have control over what you put in the about the author. So if you are creating a pen name, you have to create and ensure that you tell people that the author is qualified to create this content, right? And then finally, when an individual gets the chance to look inside that particular book, you want to ensure that you include your table of contents and you include things that, of course, will help that individual with purchasing that particular book. Very, very, very important. So you want to ensure that you apply all those three influences because you have control over those, and those will, at the end of the day, of course, influence that purchase at that particular point in time. And don't get hung up on reviews. I tell everyone, reviews, if you're getting bad reviews, that's not necessarily a bad thing because your book is being discovered and bought. So you've actually solved one of the problems, is that your book is being bought. That's it. The problem is that you now know that there's something wrong with your content. Now, of course, you have individuals who are out there who are going to do bad things to your content. They're going to try and spam your book, and as my friend Mike likes to say, they're trolls. So they want to make your book go down in the results so that their book can go up. There are people who are like this, but the reality is, do not concentrate on those people. Your content will speak enough and speak volumes for you. There are going to be people who are going to buy your book and are going to be impressed with the content and love your content, and they're going to leave good reviews. Do not be concerned with those bad reviews. You can, of course, ask someone to vote it down and stuff like that, but the fact is, you concentrate on discovery. More people finding your content, more people buying it. It's good quality content. People are going to leave good reviews. The one-off individuals are going to just end up saying, darn it, I can't really stop him, or I can't really stop her, so I'm just going to have to stop doing this, and those reviews will eventually die down. We have seen it. I have seen negative reviews for Gone with the Wind. I mean, how can you actually leave a negative review for the book Gone with the Wind? I mean, can people really not like Gone with the Wind? But there are negative reviews for that. So you have to understand that people are just people. That's going to be the case. You can't get away from that. Concentrate on book discovery and concentrate on quality content. That is the key. The higher the quality is, the more good reviews you're going to get. And that's how you basically let it work for you. Get the right and the highest quality content out there. So, short answer, Becky, go ahead and add your affiliate links. You don't add your affiliate links, just add a link to your book on Amazon. Just add that link to your existing book on Amazon, or you can add a link to your author page, which should have your entire listing of books. That's basically what you can do. And when the person hits your author page, they'll see an entire listing of all your books right there. So I would add it basically to the front matter. When I'm basically trying to ensure that I'm using one of my influencers, I'll put that about the author there, and then I'll put a link to that particular page. And that way, through that particular sample, when someone looks on it, they can see much more about my author. Because at times, when you actually look on the tablet itself, when you're looking on a book, you can get a sample of the book. When that person gets that sample, they're going to see about the author. And they'll typically look on that sample first before even reading everything about the author in the description section. So you want to be able to put that stuff there. So that's typically important. So I would not put it at the back of my book. I put that link to the front of my book. If I have an umpteen amount of books with a lot of links, then yes, I'd put it at the back. But for the most part, you would want to keep that at the front. Okay, there are several people not able to get in, Glennis. I'm not sure basically what happens. let me go ahead, Glennis. If you're on no, can I unmute you so that you can actually go ahead and tell me exactly what the problem is? Because I think everyone who is on should be able to get on. We can take on 200 people. So, Glennis, if you have a mic, can you just raise your hand? I'm going to unmute you right now. So Glennis, are you there? Oh no, that's Gerald. Okay, yeah. Okay, Glennis. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, how are you
Can
doing?
you hear? Good, good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The problem with the other people is that there's on the speedypublishing.com Facebook page. There's been a few people saying that they can't get in. So I just thought I'd let you know. That's why I asked for it to be recorded.
Oh, okay, awesome. Typically what normally happens, it was happening earlier when I was doing testing, is that when we were recording, it kept on freezing the page. So, so we're going to be doing another webinar next week, which is going to be based on Speedy Publishing Co. So, that, of course, everyone, I'm going to be inviting everyone across the board into that one. It's going to be a little bit more structured than this, of course, and I'm going to be having 2 other individuals who are going to be with me at that particular point in time who are industry experts to help me answer more industry-related questions. Okay.
Okay, that's great. While I've got you, can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay.
Looking at the 12 by 12 steps plan,
Okay.
with the content stacking,
Mm-hmm.
can we stack content for all of the other platforms, or is that specifically for Amazon?
If it works for other platforms, and when we're talking about if we're stacking content under a new title and using that for Barnes & Noble or Kobo or any one of the other platforms?
Correct.
It can work across the board. It's being done, the way how it's being done is based on a title scenario. Now, I got an email a couple of nights ago from an existing member who had a problem because he wrote to Amazon and he kind of asked Amazon a question, which is kind of a loaded question. He said to them that he had 3 books and he wanted to combine the 3 books and he wanted to resell them. And he asked them subsequent to that, he wanted to make sure if duplicate content was okay. Now that asking a question like that is going to immediately trigger someone, duplicate content is not okay. Because the way how Amazon looks on duplicate content is content outside of Amazon in terms of anywhere else and available anywhere else that you're going to put on Amazon that's freely available on the web. They don't want it. They don't want it and it doesn't make sense for their business model, right? Because if it's freely available on the web, why would people be paying for it? And people are not going to chase down an author about that. They're going to chase down a retailer and say, well, I bought garbage from Amazon. I'm not buying any more stuff from Amazon. They're going to do that. So Amazon has to protect their business model. So they don't want that to be the case. However, what I did ask that member, I said, okay, think of it logically in this particular light. Let's say that you have 10 different romance novels that are all 6,000 words, right? And I tried to use a specific example. Let's say like Hugh Howey, for example, and he has Wool and he has other books that are out there. What happens when he decides to combine all the books and then he sells them under a different title name as a compilation? What happens then? It's a compilation. It's the same exact content. And you don't have to remove the other content. That is the key point. You don't actually have to remove the other content. So when you take that similar content and you stack your books together, you don't have to unpublish that other book. The key point is that you're adding value to the reader. That is basically what you want to do. So you can stack your content and you can bring that across to other platforms because it's all about that specific title. It's the title that makes all the difference. So you want to make sure that is the way how you're doing it.
Okay, because my plan, having seen 12 by 12, is I'll probably take it up to the upload book stage, or to the creating the book stage, and then hand the whole lot over to speedypublishing.co.
Mhm.
My issue is always the selling side of things,
um,
and I'm sure everyone else is the same.
I, th Okay, so that's the thing, Glennis. It's and everyone has that problem. You're right. Everyone faces the issue of sales as a particular problem. Gone are the days when you could publish your book on Kindle, you could set it for free, and then you could leave it, and then you're making, $100 for each book every month. That's what it used to be, and you had to do nothing. You never had to do anything at all to have that happen. That doesn't maintain anymore, and even at that particular stage, you were not taking, you were not using the book's content to its full potential. Right now, you have to do book discovery. You have to do book discovery, and you have to do distribution. There is no bestseller book that is going to make thousands and thousands of dollars unless you are already an established author with a massive following that is going to purchase every single book no matter where that book is available, right? And even then, that author knows that people who are on Kobo, who are Kobo readers, will not be able to access that content. So I think it's John Grisham, I think, who recently published a book through Kindle singles only, right? And he was able to get that book up within, I think it was 48 hours from the point when the book he edited the book, handed it over to Amazon. The book was live in 48 hours in Kindle singles and was doing like 8,000 sales per day. The key point here is that the key point here is that this is only for the Kindle. There are hundreds of people out there. If he had made that book available to a lot of other people, that he would still be making 8,000 sales on Amazon per day, but he would have had to have gone through a distributor in order to make that book available to Kobo and make that book available to Barnes & Noble. So he would have been probably making 30,000 sales a day or more if he had just distributed in a different way.
Yeah, the more I listen to you and the more I see of the information that you're giving us, I'm falling into line with what you're saying, which is publish everywhere you can, basically. But as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
that's just such a huge job. I mean, my head
Exactly.
spins just trying to get it onto Kindle. So
Okay.
getting it onto 50 or 100 different places, that's not doable for me as an individual. So,
Right.
that's the route I'm going to travel, is speedypublishing.co.
Excellent. I'm glad to know, Glennis, because I'm going to be honest with you. Distribution is not good. I'm not good at distribution either. This is the reason why we partner with the biggest company in the game. We partner with the biggest company in the game, Ingram, and it's something that has taken a very long time to do. We've been planning this since January of this year, and it has taken a lot of work to just get to this particular point. And they're going to be able to distribute our content to everywhere that we want it to be distributed to. We couldn't attempt to do it on our own. We couldn't do that on our own, and we have to work with Ingram to get that done. Not just for digital content. We're talking about paperback physical books, because Ingram owns Lightning Source, which is the #1 distributor for paperback books globally, right? And what
Yep.
really drove it home for me that I was making the right decision going with them was the fact that CreateSpace sells, and I was a buyer of the expanded distribution. That was something that I did when I didn't know the overall market. I bought into CreateSpace. It was something that I put in my overall budget. I hit CreateSpace, expanded distribution. That has to be in there. Got to get it distributed, right? So I was paying them $25 for that until I found out that those all CreateSpace did was to take those books and place it with Lightning Source. And Lightning Source, if you're a publisher with Lightning Source, Lightning Source actually charges you $12 to get your book into their expanded distribution, which Amazon charges me, or CreateSpace charges me double. On top of that, the people at Books in Print and those other companies duly gave me a bit of information, including one person who is in charge of a Barnes & Noble brick-and-mortar store, who made it clear to me. He said, okay, so you're in CreateSpace, and at that time, I was getting my feelers out there and saying, okay, well, I want to get my book into these bookstores. Can I find out if Barnes & Noble is going to actually stock my book? And the minute the guy asked me, so, who's actually your publisher? And I said, well, I'm my publishing company, but right now we're going through CreateSpace. And he said, So he said, so do you have your own imprint? Do you have your own ISBN? And I said, no, I'm actually going through CreateSpace. And he said, He said, okay, well, we wouldn't be able to stock your book. That was where the conversation ended. So because he didn't really elaborate, I had to do my own investigations. And I eventually found out that Barnes & Noble will not stock Amazon books because CreateSpace is owned by Amazon, which is a direct competitor. So it's illogical for them to actually do that. So at that particular time, I realized, I said, what? Well, why am I paying them $25 and I'm not going to really get the reach that I want? And I could go with Lightning Source and I could probably pay less than half and still get the very same reach, and possibly at that time I could call the guys at Barnes & Noble and ask them to stock my book, and they would be much more receptive. So there are many things in the game that, people are not going to tell you up front. They're into it to make money. They're into it to profit. That's what they're there for. We're there to profit as well. So we've got to do it correctly.
Colin, I'll get off because I'm sure there's other people that are just dying to talk to you. But I just wanted to say, I'm really grateful for all of the stuff that you give us, that you tell us, for the unbelievable updates that we get every single week. I just can't believe the value here.
Thank you.
And every time I watch something, I kick myself because I realize I should have watched the video before I published the book because I'd have been smarter and done it better. So anyway, I'll get off, but I just wanted to say thank you very much. I really appreciate all the hard work that you do.
Thank you very much, Glennis. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay.
So, Julie, I see your hand up, so I'm going to come to you, and I know everyone is asking questions. Just want to make it clear, we're just at an hour, so we've got a long way to go. So don't worry, we're going to get to everyone. Just in closing, Glennis, I wanted to say thanks again for that. It really, really makes me feel good because I want to make sure that everyone gets value in what it is that we're doing, which is it's the main reason why we created 12 by 12 steps. I wanted to give everyone a look in on what it is that I do, the way how I'm successful, and what I basically do to get to that particular point. So I had to expose that to everyone because not everyone is going to be in the same position. Not everyone can be at home, and not everyone can actually work on their business 24/7. There are some people who have serious responsibilities, and they have to work a 9 to 5. But at the same time, they know that there are opportunities in publishing that they can actually get into. And as a result of that, they want to go ahead and jump in. And so we want to basically give everyone that opportunity. This is the way how to do it. This is what you do. Start off with your niche research, title research. You do those things simultaneously. Then you take a couple of days to put your content together. Then you upload your content. And then you move into your book discovery stages. And then finally, you try and leverage your books. And that's the basic step-by-step method that you want to follow. I am telling you that if you take $300 to create a book, It doesn't have to be 5,000. It doesn't have to be 10,000. You don't have to pay a company like iUniverse or any other vanity publishing company to do this for you. It's very, very simple and easy. And once you put your book out there and you push the discovery for that book, if you spent $300 and every single month you're getting $50 in sales, just $50, right? There is no bank on the planet that is going to give you that type of return. That is the reality. That is what business is all about. We can't think that, okay, well, I did a book for $300. I want to get $500 from that book every month. You have to be realistic in what it is that you're doing. You look on it based on that return on your investment. So $50 is a good return on an investment. You look on the opportunity cost of doing it. I don't know of anything out there other than the stock market that might create that level, such little risk in terms of doing that. And I've done Forex trading for a while, so I kind of know exactly how that works. And so you have to be very, very careful. $50 on even $200 is 25% return every month, month over month. For an entire year, there's no bank, there's no hedge fund, there's no mutual fund, there's nothing that's going to give you that return with such little risk if you just follow a few simple steps and you do it correctly. So that basically is the eye opener. That was the eye opener for me, and this is a method that we basically utilize. So Julie, I'm coming to you right now. So your hand has been up for a while.
Well, actually, first I have a comment that, and I'm probably guilty of this now myself.
Okay.
When you're answering questions and the person who's asking the question, I think we're hearing your voice coming through their computer as well. I keep hearing that echo every time after a person stops asking the question you answer it. I'm hearing it twice.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm wondering if we can mute the person again
while
you answer the question.
Sure, will do. Okay, go ahead with you.
And I'm a little bit confused, and I have to admit I haven't made it through all the videos yet.
Okay.
So I apologize. If it's on a video, you can tell me, go look at the video. We have been publishing our own nonfiction books through Lulu for quite a while now.
Okay.
And I have been wondering about if we should be changing to CreateSpace. Will Amazon, does that make any difference for us as far as Amazon, putting our books up sooner? And what about the ISBN? Should I keep wondering, should I just go to my identifiers and buy a block? Or should I be buying them through, whichever, Lulu or Amazon we're going through? Or
Okay.
I'm not sure what the best way is to do that, especially in light of what you just said about Ingram.
Okay. So I'm going to mute you then, and then I'm going to answer, okay? And then I'm going to come back to you. Okay. So here's the thing, Julie. Lulu.com basically has not been a very bad place to publish in the past, and they will continue to do so. The problem is that Lulu basically works with Ingram as well in terms of, I think, Lightning Source. Their version of expanded distribution that you actually pay $75 for, I think, is basically the same thing as what CreateSpace offers for $25. So it's even higher. The main thing that you want to actually do with the way how Lulu actually works is that your book will not be fulfilled through Amazon.com very quickly. So you will find that if your book does get to Amazon and someone hits your buy now page, they'll see your order ships typically in 3 weeks. If your book is on CreateSpace, then your book is going to be in stock. It's the basic idea. So even if you go through Lightning Source, that problem still maintains. You're going to still have that issue. But what people have to understand, it's only about fulfillment for a specific retailer. So there's nothing wrong with you actually taking your content and going and carrying that over from Lulu and carrying it into CreateSpace. There's nothing wrong with that. Your books will appear because the way how Amazon works is that everything for them is in what is called virtual inventory. So they have all this virtual inventory that they have in there. But when someone places an order for a particular book, what will end up happening is that their system will fulfill it first through something else, through their own company. So they're not going to have your book, which might be, let's say your book is Clean Eating and it's the paperback version. What will happen is that they will fulfill that content primarily with CreateSpace. So they won't go to Lulu to fulfill that content. They won't go to Lulu to fulfill that order. They'll go to CreateSpace, right? So Lulu is actually going through, by extension, through Ingram. Ingram is going to take your content, your metadata, your everything, your electronic file, everything, and they're going to push that to Amazon. Amazon is going to have all of that content. And then Amazon is going to say, well, we've got the book here at CreateSpace, this very same book. And we also have the very same book here on, Ingram. Why are we actually going to fulfill the order with Ingram when we've got the book on CreateSpace? So we're taking the CreateSpace version. Your book is in stock. You're going to have more sales. This is a strategy that many, many publishing companies and authors use. It's not something that is relatively new, right? So they'll go ahead and do that. That's the bottom line, right? So there's nothing wrong if you're publishing through Lulu. Lulu has its own store. So if you're putting your books there, it's just another retailer, right? That you can look on. With respect to distribution, there are hundreds of places. This is the full listing that we have in places where your books can go electronically. That will be pushed through Ingram. So there's so many places, right? And that even includes here, of course, in terms of your digital file going to places like Lightning Source. So your book can go through Lightning Source here as well. The key point is how the retailer is able to access your book and access your content to deliver it to the customer. So if you want your books to be sold rather quickly and to be very, very competitive on Amazon, right, then you want to be available very quickly. Because if someone wants to find out about Raspberry Pi and your book is about Raspberry Pi, they want to learn how to turn on the Raspberry Pi. No, that's basically what they want. They don't want to have to wait for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks for that order to be fulfilled. The way to get around that is to, of course, place that very same content on CreateSpace as a method of fulfilling that paperback version. So that is very, very critical. Now, with respect to your ISBNs, your ISBN is basically just a unique identifier. No, key point here is that unique identifier will identify your publishing company. That is basically how it works. So the minute that your publishing company appears and your publishing company is CreateSpace, that causes a problem for those retailers. It's just not logical for a bookseller who is an independent bookseller to say, I'm going to stock the books of a competitor. It would have to be on the rare occasion that it would have to be a John Grisham book, for argument's sake. It would have to be a book that would be selling dramatically, that they would just have to have that book in their stores. If you are just an ordinary person who you're publishing your content, you might have a following. It's not very wise to publish under a publishing company that is a direct competitor of that particular bookseller. That would not really, really work well for you. So while Barnes & Noble will still put your book on the Barnes & Noble site, because Barnes & Noble is a retailer by trade, they'll put your CreateSpace book on their website. They're not going to stock it in their brick-and-mortar stores, which is clearly a problem. In my opinion, I would not want that to be the case. So if you go over to My Identifiers and you intend to, of course, create your own publishing company, then make that investment. If you think at the end of the day, purchasing 1,000 ISBNs, because that's what I did when I started out with my very, very first imprint. I went to My Identifiers and I purchased 100 ISBNs for 500 books. And I started to publish, and I said, silly me, because I've now gone well into close to 100 books, and what am I going to do? I'm going to have to buy more, and I'm not going to spend 500 to buy 100, so I just decided to invest that $1,000 to create my own imprint and to get my imprint name out there, and that worked perfectly because I could know at that particular point in time go over to CreateSpace and say, hey, CreateSpace, here's my ISBN number. Go ahead and indicate that I am that particular publisher. So what happens is that CreateSpace is really and truly only the fulfillment. They're only the printer. That's basically what they are. So they're not really in charge or having any real hold over my particular book as operating as the publisher at the end of the day. So, Julie, does that help?
Well, I'm still a little bit confused. So,
okay.
Because we have our own imprint. I mean, our company's Embrace Publications, and
okay.
so I've been debating about this whole ISBN thing, because I've read on other sites that if you don't have your own ISBN, that they can't pay you. That it somehow affects your payments. And now I'm thinking that that's not correct information.
If who can't pay you if you don't have your ISBN?
Like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whoever you're distributing your book through.
No, well, if you have an ISBN, it identifies you as the publisher. That's really and basically what it is. If you think about it logically, the idea is that there has to be a distributor. So that distributor is the person who takes your content and gives it to the retailer. If the retailer pays the distributor, that distributor will pay you. So you really and truly at the end of the day, when you're going through a company like Lightning Source, you have to have your ISBN because they need that identifier, because Lightning Source won't operate as a publisher. What CreateSpace does is that CreateSpace allows you to utilize your own ISBN. To utilize their ISBN, and utilize your own ISBN. They're not really concerned with that. They'll take the ISBN that you have to offer, or they'll give you one that they've purchased in block. So what they want to do is that they want to get more books to print. They want to have the books to offer to fulfill for Amazon orders. That's their business model. That's what they're in business for.
So if we have our own ISBN on CreateSpace, or if we go to ISBN or go to CreateSpace with our own ISBN, does it affect how they distribute our book? Does it hold anything up? Or
it doesn't hold anything up. Your book will go live. What they will tell you is that they need to verify your imprint, which they will do, right? Because once they go to my identifiers, that's the method that they're going to use, and it's going to show that your imprint matches, or your publishing company's name matches that particular ISBN. That's how it basically works. And they do that check. But if it's going to hold up your book in terms of being available on the Amazon website for retail, no, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not at all. So for my particular purposes, what we basically do, and one of the things that we like with CreateSpace, is your ability to create discounts, right? So so I can actually still see a profit and still offer that same 40% discount by selling directly through CreateSpace and not through Amazon. So CreateSpace allows you to create what are known as discount codes. And you can create those discount codes, and then because you have your own imprint on it, you can send those discount codes. You can use those discount codes in these very same ads that are here on Goodreads. And we've done that successfully. And we've even had that happen for book giveaways, where we've said, okay, well, look, here we're giving away a couple of books. If you want to go ahead and grab this book, here is also a 40% discount code for that particular book as well, so that individuals can actually go ahead, and if they see the book, they've signed up for a giveaway, they've clicked on the link, they're interested in the book, they even have that option. If they didn't get the actual book, they've still shown interest, they still have the option of picking up the book at a massive discount. So again, and you're still going to be able to see profits even with that particular discount. So you can do the math. It's very, very simple. I think I do have that option. That is also in the training as well. So and I think, let me see here. I know it's in one of these modules that you're going to be able to utilize that discount code, and then you can apply that discount code to either all your books, or you can apply that discount code to just one single book. You have that option across the board. So CreateSpace does have its unique benefits, but as far as in terms of ensuring that you use your own ISBN, to me that is something that's fundamental, and it's just not prudent to go with the CreateSpace ISBN. Not at this time for me, and I don't use it anymore, and I don't think anyone should be using it, just based on what might happen to your book. Just the might happen. But still go through them to ensure that you have fulfillment. So, Julie, I hope that helps you out. I'm going to jump on to Larry. Well, no one else has there. Anyone else wants to go ahead and stick their hand up? Please go ahead and stick your hand up if you've got a quick question, or I'm going to go into the different questions that everyone has here. So let's go and head over here. Okay, there we go. Speedy Book Publisher still puts author at the end. Are you going to update that? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We've been doing that for quite some time. We have a basic system where our staff kind of follows a rigid kind of thing. It moves from niche selection choice to content acquisition to into editing and a couple of other things, and that basically is kind of outside of my own business per se. And as a result of that, we have been making changes. But I didn't want to go ahead and thrust something on everyone when it was still in the testing phase, because if I wasn't able to see good results from it and have strong sampling data to utilize that with, because you have to have the sampling data, right? I couldn't just say, okay, well, I've done it for 2 books and then it works, and then, okay, I'm going to throw that into the mix. You want to ensure that you have at least 10 to 15 to 20 books to say, okay, well, look, I've done this with 10 or 15 or 20 books, and this has worked. So I have seen more sales. It's similar to refreshing. Once I was able to confirm that refreshing worked, I was able to tell everyone that, hey, listen, this works, because that is a key aspect of doing what you're doing. Once I was able to see that I was getting more sales from brand new books by emailing everyone else who had downloaded the book in the past and adding that book in terms of that link to that book, that new book, so that someone could actually go in and buy it, then I could tell everyone that would actually have to work. So I have to kind of have that kind of sampling data and test it for myself to basically see if that's going to actually work at that particular point in time. I kind of adhere to the guys like, you know, to like Allison at Play Science and the guys at Codex. There has to be a science to it, right? There has to be something that you can actually look on and say, yes, there are 10 things that line up to, you know, that fit with this particular model. And if 5 people like these 10 things, then 3 out of the 5 will buy. And we've tested this and we've scaled up. So we've gone to 1,000 people. And what we've seen is that 700 of these 1,000 people will buy because we had these 10 things. So, okay, let's not have these 10 things and look on books that don't have these 10 things. And 1,000 people hit it and only 300 people buy. So you have to have that kind of sampling data to see exactly if this particularly will work, and then you start to apply it, and then you will, of course, see that. Not to say that there are not going to be anomalies and things that don't conform or exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, I mean, I would probably say once you have, I'd probably say 80% of the time it happens, then I would probably say, yeah, it works and it works well. Okay, you recommend, Mihalis, you should recommend to run a free book KDP promo for 3 days. I usually do 1 day and after a while use another day. Is this a mistake? No, it's typically not. If you can get 20 people organized on that one particular day to download your book using the search string, then yes, one day is absolutely fine. If you are asking your friends to download it and to leave an honest review, then yes, that's absolutely fine. If you can coordinate everything for that one particular day, then yes, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to tell you something that companies have used in the past. Individuals have gone to places such as Craigslist and asked individuals to proofread their book but not to leave a comment. So they've gone to Craigslist and gotten people to say, hey, I need 20 people to proofread my book on a particular day and tell me if the book is legible. And that person would, of course, say, okay, well, fine, I'll go ahead and do it. And you could say, well, I'll pay you $10 to do that, right? And so you've got 20 people, you're going to pay $200 for that. But you tell them to download the book, to download the book using this exact method. So they're going to download the book using the exact search string method, and you're going to tell them, do not leave a review. The only thing you basically want them to do is to download the book, and to download the book using that particular thing. So if you think about it, you say, okay, well, I've put my book out there for $300, and now I'm going to do my marketing. I want my book to rank for a particular keyword term on Amazon. I'm going to spend $200 to get that done. You can. There are ways to do that, and there are smart ways to do that. But in my opinion, you can do it the other way by going on the Facebook page, asking for a good comment, because people will comment on your book if the content is good. And then your book will, of course, begin to rank. So one day is not necessarily a bad thing. It allows you at the end of the day, no doubt, to take advantage. If you can coordinate everything, to take advantage of probably 5 different keywords if you can do it. So you can run the book for one day, today, and then see where your sales are at after a month. And then you can probably run it for another day or 2 other days in the following month, choosing a different keyword, right? And that's one of the things that I wanted to point out to everyone to be very, very careful of when you're using eBook Niche Explorer. I've used the eBook Niche Explorer. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. There's no doubt in that. Hands down, it's the best niche research tool for Amazon that I've come across, because when you're doing niche research without metrics, it doesn't make any sense. I've seen a recent tool, I think it was FreshKey, that FreshKey just gives you, okay, people are searching for this particular keyword. Okay, well, yes, that's good to know. But are people buying books in this particular keyword? No. And if you choose a keyword based on just the fact that people are searching for it, and that there might just be 15 or 20 or 30 people searching for it, and that there are no sales, it doesn't make any sense, because then you're going to invest in it. How are you going to actually calculate a good ROI? There's no way for you to do that. But if you can calculate an ROI based on that, it definitely works. But as good as eBook Niche Explorer is, there can be cases where books are cross-appearing. So you will have a book that is ranking for the keyword term weight loss, and then you might have a book that's ranking for the term lose weight in 7 days, for argument's sake. Is lose weight in 7 days a hot keyword term because 10 books in that particular search term are doing well? That's not necessarily true. It can be a case where the sales are being driven because of another keyword. So that's also something that you have to be very careful about. So you have to really and truly, when you look on your niche results, you have to say, okay, well, look, is this keyword is this niche being dominated by books that are really and truly ranking for other keyword terms, and that those keyword terms are where the sales are coming from. You also have to be very careful, because you will have books that appear that are $5, $6, $7 that are really being promoted or being published by companies like Hachette, Simon & Schuster, who are doing other things in book discovery. So what will happen is the book will sell well on Amazon, and 5 or 6 books might sell well on Amazon because of that, because all of these books are being pushed by publishers. And those publishers are doing other things. So the search or the sale is not being generated by the actual search on Amazon. It's being generated by people being sent directly to that particular search term, to that particular page or that particular book page, sorry. So they're being sent directly to that particular book, not typically someone coming to Amazon and searching for that particular term, then finding the book and then buying a book. So you have to consider where that actual purchase is originating from. Is it originating from the Amazon platform, or is it originating from somewhere else? Now, a quick look on that specific book will help you to determine how that works, which is why at times we take a couple of days to look on all the niches. So when my team goes ahead and we put together a niche report, I have to take a look on those niches, because you have to take a second look on the books. It's not just about, okay, find it and it's go green, right? Go green is good. Go green is awesome. But you're going to find books or niches where go green is not really go green. Go green is really the search is not coming from Amazon there. The buying is not originating from the Amazon platform. It's originating based on someone sending a direct link to that particular book itself. And then people could also be searching for the exact title. So typically when I started out, when I published my first book, Jamaican Cooking Made Easy, I did a whole bunch of discovery. And so when someone types in something like Jamaican cooking, you can go here, what you'll find is that you'll find Jamaican Cooking Made Easy as an actual search term, right? So if I was to select this and look for Jamaican Cooking Made Easy, and we don't have our Kindle version anymore because I had to remove that because the guys at iUniverse wanted to rein in on my success, because iUniverse, as the publishing company at the time, they still do have control over the electronic book. They were doing no discovery. I paid hundreds of dollars to get published. I made that mistake by going through a vanity publisher. I've made that mistake as early as 2008. And they said, well, if you have that electronic book out there, we need to get 50%. And I said, okay, well, look, I'm going to remove it. So I did remove it. But the search term Jamaican Cooking Made Easy, if I was to look in books, and I would appear here, and I still appear as number one, what you will actually find is that if these books here are doing well, does it mean that the search term Jamaican Cooking Made Easy is a hot term? That's the point that I'm trying to get at. So it's not necessarily where that exact search term will tell you that the book is doing extremely well, because traffic could be coming into this particular title and this particular title and this particular title through a different particular method. But when you search for that particular term, these are the books that appear. And it might trigger you to think that, yes, this keyword term is awesome, and go with it. So you have to kind of analyze those particular results a little bit more to ensure that you're really hitting the sweet spot, to ensure that you give your books the best opportunity to succeed. So you have to kind of look on it in that particular perspective. So and it's something that you have to kind of know. So there's a lot to do with that particular search term that you want to look on. But for the most part, Mihalis, one day, absolutely fine. If you can coordinate everything like that, perfect. If you can do that in one day, my man, that would be awesome. As I said before, you can go on Craigslist and you can find individuals who tell them that you need them to proofread your book, pay them $10 to do that, organize 20 of them in one day and pay them $5 or $10 each, and have them download and tell them to give you the last 2 words of your book just to make sure that they've done it. And they're going to have to download it, and you tell them to do it exactly the way how you tell them to do it, or you won't be able to track them doing that. And you send them that link and say, proofread my book. Do not leave a comment. Just proofread it and tell me if it's legible in your Kindle e-reader or if it's legible in your cloud reader. And they'll go ahead and they'll follow and they'll download your book, $5 a pop or $10 a pop or whatever you decide to pay them, and you can get your book ranked for that particular keyword term all in one day. So it's not a very difficult prospect to do. So that can be arranged. And then you can, of course, test for that particular test on that particular day and say, okay, well, look, am I doing well for this particular search term? Am I not doing so well for this particular search term? And then you can, of course, take another free day and do something else. But for the most part, free days are to help you, not to help everyone else download your book in the thousands. I have seen a couple of guys who have said, okay, well, hey, I'm going to tell you how to get 20,000 downloads of your book. Okay, well, it's free. So, and there are people out there, and I have spoken to individuals who have been burnt by this, and you need to be very, very careful. If your book, and I think I did, I'm almost sure, if you're following your Kindle, your Speedy Nuggets, there was one member who fell into this trap. Her book on Ethiopian recipes was downloaded thousands of times, and as a result, what ended up happening was that people were able to strip her content out of that particular Kindle book in whatever way or form. There are people who do that. There is nothing new. People can find a way to take the content out of the Kindle Cloud Reader, right? They can either do I think it's print screen, and then they can actually take that print screen and then they can run OCR software on that content, and they can take your content. People can steal your content. That is something that people will do. And they know that that content should not be online. So they know if they create a website with that content, that to Google it now becomes what is known as unique content. They will do this. And what happened to her was that someone did that to her. And instead of actually, and the person really was messed up about it, because they took that content and they placed it on e-zine articles, which it was then now syndicated to hundreds of other websites, thousands of other websites, and of course Amazon caught up with her and said, look, you need to confirm and tell us that this is your content. What she came to me because she was at the point she didn't know what to do, because she was telling them it's her content. They weren't actually responding. So what I had to prove to her was that, okay, well, look, go ahead. What is the publication date for your book? And then you're going to take your content and you're going to go to archive.org. You're going to find where that page is. And then you're going to say to Google, say to Amazon, look, this is my content. My content was published on January 1, 2013. And the very first instance of this page on the web is March 2013. So my content was up there. The system is wrong. In your system, someone was able to game your system and steal my content. So my content is original, and they got that content from there. And that's one of the ways that you can prove at the end of the day that, look, my content was up on Amazon first before it was syndicated. And then what you basically do after that is that you file what is known as a DMCY, or Digital Millennium Copyright Act claim. And you file that with Google, and you'll get a notification. And then what you do is that you copy Amazon with that notification to make them aware that you are pursuing the matter. And they'll say to you, thank you for the information, and that you can follow up and let them know what takes place with that situation. So if your content is ever stolen, right, and I can tell you that people are doing that as we speak. There's no way to prevent it. People are going to find ways around it. That's one of the ways that you have to do it. So ensure that your content is unique, and then you go to archive.org and ensure that that particular page appeared after your book actually was published on Amazon. And then at that particular time, then you can go ahead and file a DMCY notification claim with Google to have the content removed from their search index, and then you copy Amazon with all of that information to protect yourself and your good name, and more importantly, your account. So that's one of the ways that you can definitely get around someone actually stealing your content, stealing away your content. Okay, how do you control look inside? Okay, so basically what Amazon will do is that they'll take probably around 10 to 20% of your overall content. Typically, if you're doing it in an 8, I think it's 8.5 by 11. If you're doing it in Microsoft Word, what will actually happen is that you probably want to keep probably about 2 or 3 pages. You know that one entire section is going to be for your image, right? For your book cover. So once you start off your book with your title, then you put that page there. It's probably going to be the first 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 depending on the length of your book. So it really depends on how big your book is or how many pages your book is, but what Amazon will basically do is to deliver anywhere between 10 to 20 to sometimes 30%. It really depends on the size of your book and the number of pages in your book. So ideally, for the very first couple of pages, you want to ensure that you add the most important elements that are going to be based on influences. So you want to add that author, about the author right there below the title, and you want to ensure that you have your table of contents that the person can actually see exactly what's in the book, and if it's going to help them solve that particular problem, if it is actually you know, a nonfiction book. If it is a fiction book, then you want to probably add a small excerpt and then kind of something juicy. If it's juicy, if it's Western, young adult, whatever it is, you want to be able to add something like that was going to be able to entice them. And then, of course, the first couple of lines or chapters, or the first couple of lines within the first chapter will probably be displayed as well. And you want to ensure that you do pretty well with that particular bit of information. But for the most part, it's going to be, if you're using 8.5 by 11, it's going to be I'd probably say around the first 3 to 5 pages are pretty much guaranteed that will actually fit into your overall look inside feature. For places like Google Books, you can actually even determine that you show the entire book if you want to. That's also something that you have to be very careful when you're working with Google Books, and if you want to put your books in KDP Select. You can also have your book on KDP in a particular way, and if you want to do strip content, which is what people have been talking about, in rewriting their existing content and then placing it elsewhere, I just don't do that. I used to do that in the past. I don't do that anymore. I used to add what was known as a plan and a summary. So I'm not sure if everyone knows what Cliff Notes are, but I would basically summarize my content and then place that content on Barnes & Noble. And it did work, but at the end of the day, it just drowned out. Time versus return, it just didn't work. So we just didn't pursue that. We just created our content, distributed our content, and pushed our content out there. And that was the main thing that we wanted to do, and ensured that we were being successful doing that. Okay, got that, Julie. Okay, awesome. Is it really worth to go on KDP Select at all instead of publishing to all of the platforms right off the bat? Here's my take on that. Amazon.com is basically 55% of the market. That is true, right? But if you look on it realistically, the rest and everywhere else is 45% of the market. So you can think about that right off the bat right there. Can you be successful by not going with Amazon? Yes, you can, because there are books that are being solely published on the iBookstore that are being successful. Now, success as a parameter is, of course, not how many copies are sold, because you don't need to sell 1 million copies to be successful. If you are into butterfly models, right? So if you're into toy butterflies, the market for toy butterflies is very small. So if you publish content for that particular tiny niche, and and you can get your book to that particular type of niche because that niche exists on, everyone uses the iPhone or the iPad, and your content is available there, then you're going to sell. So if the niche is small and you've created your content, in that particular manner, and you're selling in that particular niche, then you're successful, because that's the real goal of it, right? You want to be discovered by the individuals who want it. Because if you're in weight loss, everybody wants to know about weight loss, so that's a much bigger market. So you expect or anticipate to sell more. If you're doing something that's less, not as big, and you're selling in that particular niche, then obviously if you're selling well, then you're successful. So the overall idea here is more of getting to where you want to be, getting out to the individuals who you want to purchase your content. That's where the real barometer is, and that will determine how you go about doing things. Now, I personally looked on this long and hard, and I said no to KDP Select, and I said, all right, well then, this is what we'll do. When we start publishing, we'll dominate Amazon by going through all the Amazon locations. So we're on Amazon for audio, we're on Amazon for paperback, and we're on Amazon in Kindle books. And we can take our existing Kindle books and we'll throw them up in KDP Select, and we'll make sure that our books rank. And more importantly, individuals can buy the downloadable version, they can buy the paperback version, and they can buy the audio version. All three rank for a particular search term. Whoopee, and I'm making money with Amazon. I'm not saying I'm not making money, but how much more would I make if I had those three deliverables, not just at one particular location, but everywhere else? That's the key point, because KDP Select is only for KOLL. That is what many people don't understand. So let's say that the Amazon Prime is 1 million members. And let's say it's 2 million members. In fact, let's just say it's 10 million members, right? So 10 million people are a part of Amazon Prime. Let's say 50% of that 10 million are Kindle readers. So then we have now 5 million actual people who are Kindle readers, right? So let's say that we publish a book in weight loss. So if we publish a book in weight loss, let's now say 15 or let's say 20% of that 5 million is interested in weight loss. So that now comes down to 1 million possible people who are going to be literally interested in weight loss per se. Now, these are definitely numbers that we can dispute easily. But the tighter your niche is, it's the tighter that number is going to get. And if I'm going to say for people who have an iPad, and I think Apple's numbers came out last night. I can't remember exactly how well they did, but I know that the iPad, they basically sold anywhere, I think, almost 50 million units. So let's just rank that against the 10 million Amazon Prime members of individuals who have that iPad. And let's take that very same percentage. So if I'm in the Apple iBook store, and Apple is going to continue to push that, they're going to continue to push that store, what will happen to that existing market? What about Kobo, who is out there, who is also pushing that? What about Barnes & Noble as a retail store, who now has Nook Press and has decided to pump more money into what people call the failing Nook? What about that market, right? So really and truly, KOLL is Amazon's way of saying, do you want to be able to rank your book and run what are known as price promos? So they say you can rank your book using price promos, so come into the KOLL. We're going to tie your book up for 90 days, right? And they tie your book up for 90 days with the sweet benefit that the Kindle Online Lending Library was actually going to be able to give you like $2.99 or $2.86 for a download. Well, we've seen that number continuously decline over a period of time, so we now know it might jolly well head back to the 500K. What most people don't know is that when it was 500K last year, there were less people publishing at that time than they are now. So that 500K is going to have a much different split than the existing 500K back then. So what's going to happen is that the KOLL is going to continue to be a little less attractive to everyone. But of course, what Amazon says, you've got to be locked into us to run your price promotions. So if you want to rank your book immediately at that particular point in time, then yes, I don't do it now per se. It depends on a title by title look. If I look on a title and I say, okay, well maybe this title can excel here, or do I want to push that title outside of Amazon? And you can look on that by a case-by-case basis. And what you can do is that you can use that to possibly drive revenue in order to create other publications and other books. because it's all about that investment capital that you want to also have as well. So there are many, many different reasons. Right now, KOLL is not looking too wonderful. And for those of us that do not know, and we're doing this because just so everyone knows, I know everyone has been asking about a system that will allow you to leave your reviews. And we've been working very, very hard to get that going, even as part of SpeedyPublishing.co. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that we incorporate everything, not just Amazon and Amazon reviews, but Barnes & Noble and Kobo and all the different locations. And just so everyone knows right now, while the site is not up yet, the name of that particular service that will come out, you guys are basically going to be the first to know, is IJustRead.it. So it's I Just Read It. And it's going to be able to encourage everyone to actually find books that are actually available for free, not just on Amazon.com, because what most people don't know is that BarnesandNoble.com also does price promotions. So it's not just Amazon. So let's take a look here. You can, if you're seeing the screen, what actually happens is that you have Waking Up Married, right? So there's Waking Up Married here. This is a free Nook book. I can download this to my Nook Reader, right? So you do have things like this, and this is, here we go, this is Harlequin. So this is actually a book that's come out by a publisher. They're doing a price promotion, right? They're doing that price promotion. So you can do price promotions with these particular companies, right? And this is a very simple, nice book, and there you go. It's simple, and you can buy it now for $0, and you download it to your Nook Reader, and you can read it. Price promotion that's going on. So there are people who are going to have that option available to them, and you can put your book everywhere and still have people be able to leave comments. So all those people, those thousands and thousands of people who are downloading books that are on Amazon and on the Kindle, they can come to Barnes & Noble and get that too. I've not been able to actually, and I should get in touch with Michael Tamblin to find out exactly how Kobo does their price promotions, because I'm sure that they will be doing price promotions as well if they have not started. But I need to open up a conversation with him and find out how they go about doing that as one of the other major retailers of electronic books, major players in the market. Of course, I'm not sure if Bookish is also doing that, because Bookish is also a popular store. So you can look on, and they're basically going out there. I am not right, so I'm not able to see actually books that are free basically on Bookish. So there you go. So, but I'm almost sure that all of these companies will accommodate what are known as price promotions. So you want to be able to find those books that have those price promotions, and that's what people will read through their particular book readers. So the way how I Just Read It will work is to be able to identify all of those books on all those platforms, and then what will happen is that our users will be able to use a promotional method by just being a member to promote their books to those individuals. So individuals will actually be using us as a search engine to some extent to find those particular books, and much like Google, where you will actually have an ad appear, those are how your ads are actually going to appear, or your featured books are going to appear. So in my opinion, it works better. It doesn't matter whether your book is on Amazon or Kobo or wherever it is. It's going to be, if it's free, the person wants to see it. Even if it's not free and the person searches for a particular keyword term, then they're going to be able to see your book at that particular point in time. So we wanted to make sure that that service was something that was all-encompassing for the author, more importantly, and something that we basically would like to use in our own business to help to push discovery across the board, which is basically what it's all about. So we're good at that. Ingram is good at distribution, and you, the authors, are good at creating content. So that's the partnership that SpeedyPublishing.co is all about. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Alice, if it really makes sense to actually go out there. Feedback is not happening. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Feedback is not happening with every call. I think the problem is with caller. I have heard it once. Okay. All right. Cool, Larry. Thanks. Okay. Awesome. Can you tell us the steps to create our own publishing company imprint, or is this in the training somewhere? Okay. So yes, it is in the training. Mainly actually for SpeedyPublishing.com members. But I'll tell you now, it's a very, very simple thing. Quickly go to a company by the name of thedelawarecompany.com. If you are, let me head over to that site very quickly. The guys at the Delaware Company are very good friends of mine. I use them all the time. Okay, so here they are. So, okay, so the cost of a limited liability company is just $2.99. You can actually order, sorry, you can actually order, you can order this very, very easily. If you've checked, you do what is known as a name search. So if I decide to do a name search, I can actually find out if the name of that company is going to be available. If I do that name search, which is for free, they will take off $50. So your actual order price will be $249. You get 6 months for a registered agent, which is what you're going to need. And you also get what is known as an employee identification number, or an EIN, which is basically your tax ID, right? Now, in order to get that, you actually have to have what is known as a, what you call it, SIN or ITIN. So you have to have a social security number or an individual tax identification number in order to get that EIN. Now, in order to get that ITIN, it takes a little bit longer, and of course you have to be, whether you're a resident alien or a non-resident alien in the U.S., you have to be given you have to have that social security number, or you have to get Homeland Security clearance in order to have that SSN, whether you were able to be employed in the U.S. or whatever particular method that you can get it. If you do not want to wait 6 months for an ITIN, or you want to actually, or you don't have the SIN, what you basically do is that you just head over to the IRS, apply for EIN over the phone. There you go. So that, you can go ahead and do that. And if you are calling from overseas, you can apply for that EIN. It's right here, apply by EIN toll free, and you can have that, obtain an EIN immediately, calling the business and specialty tax line. They give that number. And then, of course, if you're international applicants must call this particular number. So you can call that number quite easily, and you can obtain that EIN, right? And that EIN can be for your overseas-based company if you have that overseas-based company. When you place that EIN into your Amazon account, what will end up happening is that that particular Amazon account will actually, at that particular point in time, read that EIN, and then they won't have what is called withholding tax. So they won't withhold that 30%. So you are good to go right there. So you don't have any problems with that. So what we basically do is that we go ahead and purchase the company. When we're purchasing the company, it asks us for a bit of information. So initially, I form an LLC, and then I put in the name of the choice of the company, and then when I'm putting in that information here for EIN obtainment, I can either go ahead and add my full name. I already have an ITIN, so I can use that. If not, I can leave that blank. But in terms of ownership of the company, if I call myself Colin Scott, when I call, I'm telling the IRS that my name is Colin Scott and I want that EIN. And that's how it's going to basically work. So if my company is going to be called Tumbling Press, for argument's sake, then I'll put in Tumbling Press here. When I call the IRS, I'm going to tell them I'm in New Zealand, and I want an EIN, and the name of my company is Tumbling Press. And I'll have that EIN for Tumbling Press. And what will happen is that when I put that information in with Amazon, when that EIN goes over to the IRS is going to say, okay, well, we have Tumbling Press that matches this particular employee identification number. But of course, at the end of the day, you should file your returns, and that's something that we had someone on board to come up to talk to all Speedy Publishing members. We had made that arrangement. Didn't come through because there was just so many different things that that person would actually have to touch on. We wouldn't be able. We'd be there for a couple of hours, and he couldn't give me more than probably 45 minutes of his time. And he was just saying, Colin, it would be just too many questions. He says that it's best for you to ask someone to contact me at that particular point in time. So if anyone has actually emailed me with tax queries of how do I file my taxes at that particular point in time, if I'm an international person and I have an EIN or an ITIN, then go ahead and drop me an email and I'll send you his information, and he'll definitely give you guys a really good discount in putting those together. So that, Steve, is basically the easy way. $250, create your LLC. Don't get, and in fact, it's going to be less than $249 because you're going to drop off that $24 in EIN obtainment, and then you're going to go ahead and apply for your own EIN, and then you're going to put all that data in there for Amazon, and then you should be good to go. Now, of course, if you're going to open a company, bank account in terms to get your revenue through direct deposit or ACH, what you can do is that we use somewhere known as Delaware Mailbox or DE Mailbox. And what DE Mailbox will do is and that's a bit pricey. You can use any other service you want to, which is going to give you a mailbox, and you can collect your checks there. But once you know that you collect your checks there, as long as you know that if it's Tumbling Press or it's Colin Scott or Steve Sanchez, you can actually open the company Steve Sanchez. When the check comes in the name Steve Sanchez and that check reaches you, whether it's by FedEx or UPS or whatever, then you can actually take that and then you can just deposit it in your bank, in your local bank, in U.S. currency in whatever country you are. So if it's about, getting your cash out, not facing that withholding tax, then you're quite fine. And even with an EIN, if you are paying taxes in your own country, then you can net off if your country has what is known as an existing tax treaty with the U.S. Because if you're paying more taxes in your country, then you won't have to actually file those taxes in the U.S., right? But if you are paying less taxes in your country than what is required in the United States, then you would have to, of course, remit the difference to them. That's basically how it works, as much as I know. That's basically how the system would actually require you to go ahead and do that. Okay. So can we get an ISBN with you? Yes, Adrian, you can. Okay, so this is something that we've been looking into for a couple of weeks now. There is a service known as bookbaby.com, and we realize that BookBaby has been selling what are known as vanity ISBNs. There is such a thing as a vanity ISBN. We've been talking to a couple of people to try and find a way to allow our members to actually assign their own imprint name. I know it's something that's pretty, daunting to say, okay, well, I don't think I'll get to 1,000 books, so I'm not going to spend $1,000 to purchase 1,000 ISBNs. Yes, you can get the ISBN from us. Right now, if you do buy the ISBN from us, it's going to say Speedy Publishing LLC. When you publish through us, it's going to say Speedy Publishing LLC. But we are working pretty hard to try and find a way to make the vanity ISBNs accessible to you guys at a very, very low price. So if we can really get it down, I mean, $19 to me is just too high. That just adds an element of almost 10% of the cost of creating your book. I don't sanction that, to pay $19 for that. I don't like the idea. If we can get it down to even 3 books, I would probably say 3%, right? And then for every single one that you want to buy, it's like $3. But it would still be your ISBN. It would still identify your company as the imprint. So vanity ISBNs do exist. We're just trying to find a way to make sure that we can access them in bulk for all Speedy Publishing members. So that is key and very critical. So yes, if you are in the in the membership for Speedy Publishing, you can get that. Okay. Also, you said that Amazon now requires the H2. Yes. Okay. Okay. So you can still create books in that particular way, but you cannot upload that book through your ordinary Kindle account. No. Initially, in the bonuses area, we had a link that would give you a template which is similar to the picture template that we showed the other day, that was in the last training for Speedy Publishing. That template is kind of similar to the template that we were using to create the actual books. So it was, you had to bring it into the Kindle Gen, use particular code, and add it. The problem is that when you're putting together a book, the size of the required videos are very, very large, and you can't exceed 50 megabytes with Amazon. Now, if you upload a book that has a very short video, it might possibly still work, but then you have to reach out to Amazon and say to them, okay, well, look, it's an enhanced book, and you need to tag it as that. What I've been told by 2 other members who did that, their book was initially accepted, and then when it was found that their book contained video and audio, the book was removed. So when I contacted Amazon, the overall idea was, look, we will take enhanced content, you just have to come through a publisher. So what you want to do is that when you're going through your 12 by 12 steps and you get to this point here where you're looking on your translations, and of course you're looking on building links to your author pages, and you're looking on your books. Books work well because there still is the Apple iBookstore. You want to be able to take your book into the Apple iBookstore. That is key, and that is very, very critical. Because remember, if you have your book in downloadable version in Kindle, then that book in Kindle, if it's in KDP Select, can't be anywhere else in the downloadable format. So here's the thing. It's not available in the downloadable format anywhere else, but it's available in audio on acx.com. It's on acx.com, and it's also in paperback. So those are 3 different formats. But what about video format? This is audio visual, not just audio. Take that book, create the videos in the exact same way, and then put it on the Apple iBookstore. Sorry. You can create something that's very, very cool. You can look for stuff like stock videos. So you look for something like stock videos, right? And you might want to get alligators, right? Alligators. So we look for alligators, and alligators are normally A in the animal alphabet. So we've done this, right? And then of course you have snakes. So let's look on oh, that's a crocodile. So this is apparently an alligator, right? So while the video is going on, you can say A is for alligators. You can narrate this for yourself, right? That a child can go through and get this, right? And you can pick this up for just 19 bucks. So of course, if we're talking about 20 by 20, it might cost you probably about 500 bucks to get all of this video together. But there are other places, like I think it's called Pond Video. There are other places, because Shutterstock, of course, is one of the premier places to go to. So you can find other stock video to do this for, right? And I don't know what this snake has just eaten, but it has obviously eaten something. But let's say, okay, that's still a crocodile. Okay, so the snake is eating a crocodile. So that's not cool. So this is, if I had S, I would, of course, have S for snake. And I could narrate something about the snake, right? That's basically what I could do. And this is 30 seconds right here. And I could make an entire book, possibly about 10 to 15 or 20 minutes, add a few images to that particular book, and then move on. So that's basically something that's very, very simple. I would definitely want to have that option for books, and I would take that content and place that on the Apple iBook Store, because it's very, very simple and very, very easy to do. And you can utilize a range of different ways. If you just get the videos and you can have someone put together an iBook for you, or you can go through using Inkling Habitat, which is also going to work well, where you'll have that EPUB available that you can actually utilize. So definitely books are a key and prime option for you to continue to do things. Don't pass up that option. Even if you shoot your video yourself of that, or you go to Fiverr and have someone narrate your book, books are still viable. So you place them on the Apple iBook Store, right? Because that's how the iPad works. And remember that at some particular point in time, Amazon will eventually, allow you to do that, because people can still read your iBooks on the Amazon, I think the Kindle HD and the HD9. So there are different ways in which that will basically work. So there are different methods that you can actually use. And what I'll try to do is I'll probably try and use this nugget to show you exactly how we do put together that OPF. I did have another nugget planned, but I'll try and squeeze that in just for everyone for this week's Speedy Nugget as well. Okay, so let's head on. Okay, can I lose my rankings and therefore sales once I go off KDP Select for 90 days? Typically, no. That should not happen. But we know that Amazon has their own imprints. I've been saying this for quite some time, and many people have been saying this, that they don't see Amazon having their own books and not promoting their own books on their own platform. It just is not logical to think that they wouldn't do it. But the key point here is, in my opinion, your books not being in KOLL will not prevent you from ranking for particular search terms, right? Let's look on a live example here. So let's look in the Kindle store, and let's look for the term weight loss. Oops, I looked for weight loss cookbooks that are free. Oh, still Weight Watchers. So we wanted weight loss. Right. So this Bob Harper book here, Bob Harper, this is coming through another company, right? So this is, this is coming through Random House, right? So this is sold by Random House, and this is possibly one of Random House's imprints, right? So Ballantine books. The key point here is that this book is ranking as #1. This is the point, and this book is not in the KOLL. You can't get this book free in the Kindle Lending Library, right? That is the key. So why is it ranking as #1? The point is that at this particular time, because of what has happened with the agency model and the Department of Justice lawsuit against the big 6 publishers, individuals have now been able to utilize different ways and different methods of earning on Amazon. So what you found is that Amazon can take your content at the wholesale price of 45%. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Hachette, it doesn't matter which publisher you are, they can sell that content at any price they feel like. So if you tell them that they need to sell your book, your recommended retail price is $10, and they feel like selling that book for $1, they can if they want to. That is what the Department of Justice has said. And what Amazon will do is that Amazon will take Bob Harper's book and say, well, everyone wants to basically see it, and everyone wants to buy it. So people want to have it on a Kindle. I'm going to use this book as a loss leader, and I'm going to get it out there, right? And Amazon is basically saying, hey, I'm selling this book at whatever price that I want, right? And as you can see here, Random House Digital, they've included the price was set by the publisher. And this is probably Random House probably forcing them to do that and not allowing them to basically do that. But they have to find a way of the use save option. So what is actually happening here is that Random House is actually getting 45% or possibly 55% because they're a very big company. They're probably getting 55% of this particular figure. And Amazon is getting the difference through their wholesale agreement. That's basically what's happening. But they're forcing them to set that price. And that's something that you have to look on. But Macmillan and other places, I don't think every single book follows this particular rule. And with major publishers, Amazon can basically do whatever they feel like doing it. If they're using that to their full advantage, that's a totally different case. As you can see here, they're making sure to put that here. But this is not in the Kindle Lending Library. But yet, when you search for the term weight loss, it comes up as number 1. And let's go a little bit different here. Let's see new and popular. Let's probably try new and popular and see if what goes here. Okay, so let's look on Fast Diet. Now I know this is Simon & Schuster. I'm almost positive because I've looked on the anatomy of this particular book here. And this is Simon & Schuster, right? Through their particular imprint, a trio books. And as you can see here, they are number 3 for weight maintenance. They're number 3 for diets and weight loss. They're number 9 for diets and weight loss here, health, fitness, and thing. So the point here is they're not in the KDP Select, are they? Right? And as you can see here, this is a possibility where it's $10.67. They are not putting where it says this was set by the publisher. So in this particular instance, that's not the case right here. But as you can see here, though, one of the key things that we always want to look on, Kindle version, hardcover version, and audio version. Very, very nice. So typically, they allow for that to happen there. That's one of the things that you definitely always want to try and ensure that you get that happening at that particular point in time. So you can see where your book actually shows up and it drags everything else to the top. So I hit on that and that appears. So no, you don't necessarily have to lose your rankings, or you will not lose rankings if you come out of the KDP Select. You just need to keep your book discovery up. You just need to ensure that you look on book discovery. And that's one of the things that we try to point out with Speedy Publishing Co. We push your content out there, right? But we look on every single book. It's something that we do in our business. When you're in Speedy Publishing, we look on a particular chart, which is a spreadsheet that we utilize, and we say, okay, well, look, here you go, different books, and we look on the sales versus what's happening with that particular book. We look on our overall investment, how much we're making over a particular period of time, and then we go ahead and say, well, look, is the book doing well or is the book not doing well? Are we making a positive return on this particular investment? We look on every single book that way. And if a book needs a little help to boost it in discovery, we'll go ahead and issue a press release. We can go ahead and say, okay, well, let's do a little bit of marketing for several books on Goodreads. So if we were to go to Goodreads here, and we said, okay, we're on Goodreads, and we don't want to actually look on Goodreads a single book, right? We can look on a particular campaign, and that particular campaign can take us to a particular page that has several books, not just one particular book. So you can drive traffic, and this is one of the things that we do with our own existing books, is that you don't have to drive traffic to just one particular book. You can drive hundreds of ads to hundreds of compilations of books that you publish. So big list on weight loss, all 99 books, 100 books, 99 cents or less on weight loss. Download them now, right? And you can use an image of something that is very enticing, very good cover, very good book cover. You can do that. So these are the things that we look on in terms of mass marketing if we're looking on particular books. So you want to know that, okay, we're going to include this book in this particular listing here. And we, of course, will have our own backlist page, right? So we can direct traffic wherever, whenever. And it's very, very simple, very, very easy. And that's basically how you want to ensure that we keep our sales up. It's all about discovery. That's the basis of how you're going to actually be successful. Okie dokie. So, okay. Once I go off KDP Select. Okay, for example, if I have a book which talks about some health benefits, gives health tips, can I freely add references, links to medical doctor websites? Yes, of course. And you want to link permissions, okay, about particular topic which is in my book, or I need to get the permission of those websites I want to link to. Well, actually, no. I would probably say not. It depends on what it is that you're doing. If you're quoting that website and you want to use something that's from their website and then bring that out to individuals, that could be misconstrued as health advice, then I wouldn't do it. If you're talking about a tummy tuck, and there's a tummy tuck surgery, clinic, and this is what they do, and you say, okay, well, for instance, the prices at tummy tuck are in Florida are, then yes, I mean, you can freely do that because that information is already in the public domain, right? They can't tell you, okay, well, you should have done that because you can't do that. No, the information is in the public domain, right? But if you're going to use images and other things like that, then no. I would want to contact them before you do that. But you can link to wherever you want to link to. You wouldn't really and truly want to use it as a sales kind of thingamajig, though. You wouldn't want to do it to say, okay, well, I have a book and I'm going to link to your company, and then your company is going to get traffic. I wouldn't do it like that because you really and truly want to just deliver value to the particular person, and that's what you really want to do. Concentrate on the book as an asset, and then get people to find that book, and buyers will appreciate that, whether it's for nonfiction or it's for entertainment. So that is the basic idea. So you can put whatever you want to put in there. If it's in the public domain for other people, yes, you can do that. But at this particular time, I mean, you could basically put it there. Just ensure that if it's something that has to do with copyright, ensure that you check with that particular company. If you're using something directly verbatim from their website, get permission. If you're just saying their prices are and that information is in the public domain, then they can't really say you shouldn't have put that there because that's on their website. They want everybody to know that. You're just passing on the information for the most part. Okay, so let's head down to our next questions. Okay, won't I run into copyright issues with product support books? Definitely not. Okay, so here's the thing. I thought about this initially when I tried to do it, and I said, let me find out a little bit more in terms of using the direct name of that product in the book, right? Now, if I decided to say the top 10 juicing recipes that I have for my Breville juicer, right? And I put that out there. If you went to the company, that to that particular company would be saying you're telling people how you're using that particular product, right? That's basically how it works. If you put out something which is very, 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 very topical right now, and I do want to watch a couple of things on gun control, and especially the AR-15. If you were to decide or try and write something about how to maintain your AR-15, which is a very popular American-made gun, you could create a book all about that. Would you be running into problems with using that particular term, the AR-15, in it? This is how you clean your AR-15. This is how you clean your particular rifle. These are things that are very, very, very doable and usable as product support. If I was to say something like weight loss or how I got the most out of Jenny Craig, right? Or don't use Jenny Craig until you read this. Something like that that might spur controversy, might possibly lead that company to come at you and say, hey, what's really going on here? Why did you actually say that? and then it might have a particular issue. But copyright-wise, if you are putting your own personal experience with a particular product and what you recommend, and you're helping others, it's delivering value to that particular product. Don't bash the product. I wouldn't, because clearly then they're going to have a problem and they're going to try and take you down. But if you are basically an advocate of using that particular product, no. And one of the key things that we've seen are things like Mangosteen. We've seen Mangosteen books. We've seen the Glock 19, Sig Sauer, which are gun books. We've seen hunting rifle books that have done pretty well in hunting niches. We've seen a lot of that stuff. So a lot of that stuff still is out there. What we've gone into that stuff and we've profited from it, and we still make profits from it, right? The problem there, in my opinion, is that the market itself will not grow unless that particular person grows that market for themselves. So if the Breville juicer does go out of print, what we would have to do is that we would have to take down our book cover, we'd have to change our title, and we would have to rewrite that book or rework that book to fit another juicer. That's probably what we would have to do. And sales, of course, would taper off when the last Breville juicer would probably go out of manufacturing. So you can still utilize that method, and it's a very, very good method, especially if you couple it with what Amazon is advertising. Because if Amazon is advertising for keyword terms like Breville juicer, then you cannot go wrong, because Amazon is driving traffic to that specific search term through Google AdWords. And once your book is targeting that particular keyword term, and even more importantly, if you were to run your search string promotion through it, you cannot go wrong. Amazon is driving free traffic to that particular term. So it's coming from Google. You're talking about 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 people searching for that particular term every single month. And they're clicking on that particular ad, and they're taken to a search page which includes your book with the product. And worst of all, if one or two people end up buying your book and that product simultaneously, what will happen is that your paperback book and that product will now become frequently bought together. People love a deal. They're going to buy the two of those together. So that's one of the ways that you want to really and truly focus on it. And there are many, many different ways. One of the ways we spoke about, and I've looked on at length, which I'm going to talk about in a little while in one of our trainings, is purchasing things like research papers and dissertations, and purchasing the publishing rights for stuff like that. That is going to be very, 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 very powerful. And I'll tell you why. As Kindle Singles continues to become bigger and bigger and bigger, as a small publishing company yourself, if you're able to buy a dissertation, so your local university, they're guys there, they're students there, undergrads, postgrads, who are preparing final papers, who are preparing essays that have a lot of backative in terms of empirical evidence and research done and all of that. If you get that individual and you are able to have that individual sign a publishing agreement with you, and you pay that individual a particular sum up front and negotiate a particular royalty, as small as it is, you're helping that person in, probably not take that much of a student loan next year, or helping them out in buying books for the next semester, or just living expenses, right? So I remember my college days, and I wish that I had that option available to me. But the point is that you can purchase that. These essays will do very, very well on places like Kindle Singles. Very, 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 very well. They'll do very well on Amazon if they're targeting a particular niche. This is something that's clear in terms of where you can access your content, and really, really, really high quality content. That is very, very, very important. And more importantly, there are companies like, I think it's NAS Corp, that are textbook based, educational based, that will take content. Those companies will, of course, purchase the content in terms of taking your content off your hands and selling it in their own retail stores. they won't take any nonfiction book that's 8,000 words, that has no empirical evidence, that has no backative, that doesn't refer to other research papers that have been done in the past. They won't really look on that as anything that is strong and educational based. So if you create your own imprint that has that particular educational connotation behind it, and you're taking those particular dissertations and working with those, then you have the option of the ability to publish that and get into an entirely new market, right? And you can look on anything at all like that. And most of the time, many colleges hold the publication rights for these particular dissertations. You can get around that by taking that away, especially if it's postgrad. Postgrad is very, 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 very popular. And it doesn't have to be. There are hundreds and hundreds of universities that are out there. Hundreds. Not to mention the ones that are online. So you can actually find out individuals who are there. You throw that up in Elance, or you throw that up in Craigslist, or anywhere that you can find individuals who might be doing that, and the word will spread if you're looking for that type of content, right? And that will be unique content that has not been published anywhere, and you can speak directly with that particular person, and then you can access that content. Very, very, very important. So there are a lot of different ways, not just product support, but product support works well. I'll tell you what we're focused in on right now, a lot of fiction. So we're focused in on a lot of fiction right now, because fiction, I wouldn't say is hot and we're going after what's hot, but fiction, we started out as a non-fiction publishing business. And what we've done is that we have hundreds of non-fiction books that are out there that are doing very, very well. And we want to ensure that we get the handle on a lot of fiction content. We have done less than stellar, I would probably say 50 Shades type of content. And now we're going into, young adult and, that type of female protagonist and stuff like that. We're looking on a lot of that type of content right now. So you can stick and utilize a lot of that, Stephen, to really and truly see some really, really strong profits as well. Okay, so what if I already have a company, corporation, but would like to have an imprint as part of that company under a different DBA? So company 1 is a sub S corporation, and company 2 is a DBA I want to publish under. Okay, well, you can basically go ahead and do that. That would be dependent on the state that you actually registered under. I think the name of it is, I think it's a fictitious name certification, something of that sort. But more importantly, your registration, the company that you registered through, and your registered agent, if you don't have one, then you'd have to speak to your attorney about that. But it's simple. Registering a doing business as name is not very difficult. That can be easily done. So you can go ahead and do business as, and name it as that imprint, which is typically what a lot of publishing companies do. They register as doing business as and have that particular name available to them in that particular area, and then they publish under that as the imprint. And you can basically see that with many of the publishing companies, where you will see Simon & Schuster Incorporated, and then you will see basically the imprint being something else like Astria Books or something like that. So it's basically doing business as. So typically that's not something that's very, very difficult. When you, of course, you are going to go to work with my identifiers, you can speak to them about that in trying to block out those particular ISBNs. There is, and there should be, a way that they should be able to add that information in there in some particular way or form. That is definitely a method that they should be able to utilize to do that. So your books, really and truly, once your books are in my identifiers database, they go into books in print, and then you open up into an entirely new ballgame, where many individuals who are buying books wholesale typically start off by looking into books in print, and they search through books in print via a keyword. So they're looking for a keyword primarily in order to move forward. So that is basically very simple. It depends on where you're actually registered and the company you're actually registered with, or the state that you're actually registered in order to get that done. It's not a very hard thing to do. So that can work very, 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 very easily. So what you would like to, of course, have that imprint as part of the company name. Just create that doing business as, and then you are perfectly fine and safe to do so. Okay. Is there a need for an author to buy media insurance for liability protection? Okay. Thanks for the help, Joanne. Okay. So I wouldn't actually do that. Media insurance, it's typically, it depends on what you're creating, right? And the type of content you're creating, right? I wouldn't do that. If there was a need to do it, I would actually have to examine the content that I'm creating before I would actually get to that point of saying that I would actually need to do that. So I would have to really and truly examine the content and say, yes, let me go ahead and make sure, sorry, that my content does not fall into that particular, scenario or situation where individuals might misconstrue what I'm saying, and then it might cause some kind of problem, and then I am going to fall into a situation or scenario where, it causes an issue. That is not something that I would do at all. As well as if I'm misunderstanding, media insurance per se, let me know, because if that is the case, let me know, Joanne, if we're talking about something else other than that, so I can definitely address that. Okay, sure, Stefan. Okay, thanks so much for another wonderful webinar. Let's Speedy Publishing. I have to run. I wish I could. Okay, Cassandra. Okay, awesome. Take care. Okay, scrolling down. Won't I run into a problem in recipe books? I've heard that Amazon banned Kindle accounts that had recipes that can be easily found on the web. Duplicate content. Yes, you should not have duplicate content. Okay, so someone asked me this question about recipe books. When we request recipes to be written, we have those recipes individually checked on Copyscape. If you do not do that, you can end up in serious problems. Because if that recipe is available everywhere else, then that's going to be freely available on the web. When I ask someone to say, okay, give me 10 recipes that are on beef, give me 10 recipes that are beef dinner recipes, there are hundreds and hundreds of beef dinner recipes that are out there. I expect that person to research that, and I expect that person to put their own spin on it, and I expect that person to have the wherewithal to know that they could probably use pimento, or they could probably use thyme. They could probably substitute, well, let me not use salt, but let me use something else, or let me use a different, something otherwise. This is clear, and this is very, very important. So you have to ensure that you check every single recipe. Every single recipe needs to be checked with Copyscape, not just one. And that one, Copyscape will take 5 cents for a search, right? 5 cents for a search. So if you have 100 recipes, you can do a lot of searches. $5, thereabouts. Why risk $5 for, an account that's bringing you thousands every month? It's not logical. Check every recipe. If the recipe is not unique, send it back to the writer and start over. That is mandatory. You do not want to put yourself in that type of jeopardy. You want to ensure that you follow through with that. Make sure that every single recipe is checked. Amazon won't ban you for unique content, right? Because you can't even copyright a recipe per se unless the way how the recipe is put together, or a number of recipes are put together, or a compilation of recipes. That's what you can actually copyright, but you can't copyright the actual recipe. But you don't want it to be duplicate content. But if you copyscape your exact recipe and it's not anywhere on the web, then it's unique content. Amazon will take that, and they won't ban your account. And that's very, very, very important. Okay, so what are the rules about using screenshots from membership websites such as Facebook or Google? What copyright or reprint? Okay, so typically you wouldn't want to use an image that you don't have the rights to use. If you created that image yourself of something that's in the public domain, then I'm not sure what problems you could actually fall into, right? So if it's a clear indication that you've taken, so if you walk out and you take a picture of a building, can you put the picture of that building in a book without clearing it with the building owners? There are rules against things like that, and I still believe it boils down to a case-by-case basis. Because, I mean, I wouldn't go in and take a picture of a federal building and then put certain things of that federal building into a book that everyone can get. That might be a bit sticky. So you have to ensure that if you're getting any type of content that you yourself did not create, you want to ensure that you get as much information or protection with that. So if I was to go to somewhere like StockFresh, and I headed over to StockFresh, and I wanted to look for something like Google. So I decided to look for something like Google. One of the things that you're going to see here is there is no Google logo that's attached there, right? So that basically gives you an idea of how important that kind of thing is, right? That you can't even use a snapshot image of the logo. But if you got the go-ahead from Google to do that, then you could, right? So if I was to look for pretty much the same thing as Walmart, let's see if Walmart has that. So Walmart is not even found. So there you go. So that also tells you. So if you are taking a live snapshot on your computer, it's just the same thing as you would be walking out through the door and using your camera and taking a picture of somewhere. You have to have the permission to put that into any publication. So you want to make sure that you have that right. If it's of the general nature, out there in the wild outdoors, then you're fine. You know what I'm saying? Is that's something that you wouldn't fall into a real problem with. But I wouldn't per se do that with anything else. I would definitely want to ensure that I did this the right and proper way. That is critical and key with the content that you have in your existing book. Okay, how do you see that some particular book is not in KDP Select? Well, it would pretty much tell you that you can actually borrow that particular book through the Kindle account, or you can get it free. There are different ways that you can actually see that. It will tell you available. Let me see if I can go ahead and pick a particular book that might be on KDP Select. Let's see. Barney. Let me look for Barney. I think Barney for Any Friends? No. Let me try and find a book on fibromyalgia. I know that there is a member who has a book on fibromyalgia. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. And it actually shows you, here we go. So here we are. So let me see who asked that question. Okay, Mihalis. Yeah, so what you're actually going to see here is that Prime, you can actually get that book for free. So it's actually here. Prime members borrow for free from your Kindle. So it actually indicates that you are in the KOLL right there and then. So this young lady here is Holistic Therapy for Fibromyalgia, $14.99. Okay, so that's quite a good price there. So this is basically, who is this? Okay, right. So this is the price here. and it's free to borrow through the Amazon Prime. So that's basically how you do it. It will actually show and indicate right there on the page. Okay. About registering a company. If I live in a small European country, is it better to still register an LLC in the U.S. and not in my country? And if LLC is in the U.S., should I also pay taxes to the U.S. for my book sales? It depends because, sorry, again, it depends. If you register a company in the U.S., then you're going to file your U.S. taxes, right? So you want to go ahead and do that. The way how an LLC works is that the taxes pass directly through to the actual individual. So at that particular point in time, which is why when you're an individual, you have to have an ITIN number or an EIN number. So at that particular point in time, when you were registering your when you're filing your taxes, your accountant will help you with that. But for the most part, when we're filing our taxes, it depends on which imprint we're using. I still have my Jamaican imprint. So when we're collecting through that particular way, we don't really file our taxes, or we file, but we don't actually pay over anything because we would pay more taxes in Jamaica. So based on that, so the revenue passes through directly to us, and then we pay those taxes in Jamaica. We could pay it in the U.S. and then pay the difference and apply for relief at that particular point in time in Jamaica because we paid X over to the U.S., or vice versa. So either which way you want to do it, you can go ahead and do it. Some people take advantage of, depending on when exactly taxes are filed in specific countries. So there's also a particular leeway that people can use to get around the system that way, but that's very tricky, to say the least. Okie dokie. I hope I'm getting in everyone's questions. Wow, Mihalis. Okay, so Mihalis, you've got 101 questions. Okay, so is the U.S. to register? Da, da, da. Okay, let me. Okay, Mihalis, I'm going to come back to your questions. There are like a dozen questions here. Okay, Becky, you're asking me if in the U.S. you register the DBA at the county office where you live. Awesome. So right, but you can actually do that if you're a limited liability company and you want to register for a DBA for that limited liability company. You can do that with the state office. So we can do that simply with the Delaware Corp or Corp Delaware, or you can actually go directly through your registered agent to get that done. So that's basically easy. So let me see. Anybody wants to hold their hand up? Anybody have any questions that they want to go ahead? Any mics available? Okay. Nope. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Oh, okay. Okay, Becky. Okay. Sure. Go ahead, Becky. I unmuted you.
I was just saying two quick things. One is you can do the DBAs at your county, so it's really easy.
Pardon me, Deb? Becky, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
I said you can do the DBAs at your county. It's really easy.
It's really easy, too.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's a one-page form.
Uh-huh.
The other thing I wanted to say is when you were talking about the pricing
Uh-huh.
on the Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is because the first book I put out through CreateSpace as the publisher, which I'm sorry I did, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
When Amazon dropped my price on the book, they dropped it down to something like $14. It's normally $17 for the paperback,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then they kept it down at this really low price. And I went to CreateSpace, and I was getting my full royalty,
Mm-hmm.
even though Amazon did that. And I called CreateSpace because I thought it was an error, and they said no. Whatever you set as what you're supposed to get for your royalty based on the price you set at CreateSpace for the book, Amazon must pay you, even if they put it at discount.
That's right.
Awesome, because we were making our full royalty, and they were discounting the book by like 40%.
Exactly. Exactly.
It was totally cool. I almost fell over.
I think I'm going to mute you for a second, Becky, because I'm getting a feedback too. Okay. So yes, Becky, that is the actual case. That is exactly what happens. That is exactly how it works. Amazon will discount your book at that particular price at whatever particular point in time that they feel. So they will do that, and that is absolutely awesome. Because if you want to, what you're going to see is that when you're pushing your book, through Speedy Co, that's going to be the beauty of Speedy Co. When you're pushing your book through Speedy Co and you decide to set a price of $4.99, you know the actual price is going to be at $2.99. However, what's actually going to happen is that Amazon can end up selling your book for 99 cents, but you're still going to be paid $2.99 at that particular price, especially if you are promoting your book that well. This is the case. That's how it works. So when you find, because the anatomy of a bestseller has to be based on distribution. It can't, you will never find a really, really, really big seller that you can't even walk into places like Walmart and find it on the bookshelf, right? Because Walmart is a big player in the business. It's true, and many people are unaware of this. That we can look on companies like Simon & Schuster, and we can look and see where particular books are available. And let's say this is, I think, Jackie Hans shares first time, so we can look on this particular book here. So let's see what this book is all about. And as you can see here, this book is available in so many different places, right? Look at all the different places that Simon & Schuster submits their book to. Look at all of these places. And what do you see here? Walmart Online. Your books are there on Walmart Online. Your books are available at Overstock. Your books are available at Octavia Books. These are all the places that they're distributing their books to, right? So why not, if you know that this is the particular method that these companies follow, why not follow that particular method? Why not give all of these retailers the opportunity to sell your books? But at the same time, Amazon is saying, well, this is a very, 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 very popular book. So guess what we're going to do to encourage people to stay with Amazon and use it as a loss leader? Yeah, we're paying $4.99 for it. But guess what? We are going to, at the end of the day, sell that book for 99 cents. So when they sell the book for 99 cents, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get your full $2.99, which would be probably, the 48% or 45% that you bargained with them. That's the method that it has to work by. But Amazon is not just going to go ahead and just say, okay, well, we've gotten your book and then we're going to start to market it. You have to do your marketing, which is where we come in as discovery. So we promote your book, you promote your book, right? And then your book gets discovered, more and more people buy it, it starts to become a hot seller, then Amazon says, okay, well, I'm going to just drop the price to 99 cents. But I'm still willing to pay $2.99 to the person for it. And I'll take that. And then you're getting $2.99, and we're taking 15% of that $2.99. Right? So you're still getting way more than you would probably get at the end of the day. So it boils down to strategy. It boils down to how you go ahead and publish your content and the typical ways in what will actually work for you at the end of the day. So let me head down to a little bit more. Let's look on a couple more questions. Okay, what do you mean when you say you are... Okay, Becky, what do you mean when you say you speak with My Identifiers? Okay, so My Identifiers is a website owned by Boker.com. They are the individuals who are in control of the ISBNs in the United States. So they're actually the company that controls the distribution of ISBNs or ISBN numbers in the United States. Of course, you have the Canadian, the Canadian publication. If you're a Canadian publisher, for all Canucks, you can actually get a free ISBN. So sorry everyone in the US. Canadian publishers are loved more by their publishing association. They can actually get a free ISBN. They don't have to pay a dime for it. And that can indicate basically who they are, and they can register with that ISBN simply on, I think it's the Canadian Publishing website, that you can actually get that. So if you're from Canada, you can get a free ISBN, absolutely free. Just go ahead and register as an author with them, and then that's basically it. Of course, no such luck in the United States. So sorry, but you have to actually go ahead and grab and purchase your own ISBN. Of course, the U.S. market, as Michael had said, is very vicious. People club each other to death, trying to stumble over each other to try and get a book sale. So it's much more competitive there. But it works very, very well in Canada for you to get your own ISBN. It's absolutely free. So myidentifiers.com is the actual website that is owned by Bokers. And we can actually go ahead and take a look on that right there. There you go. So here it is, Boker.com, identifier services, and these are the different prices that you'll actually see here. Buy one ISBN, buy 10, buy 100, buy 1,000. So we haven't gotten to the 10,000 just yet. So we still buy them in blocks of 1,000. So if you're interested, don't buy one for $125. In my opinion, it's just not worth it. And I wouldn't buy 10. I've bought 100 for $5.75 when I didn't know at the time. I just said 100 books. Would I ever get there in my early days? But now we buy them in blocks of 1,000, which works very well for us currently. Okay, so let's head on to more questions here. You were understanding correctly. Oh, great, Joey. Thank you. Okay, need to go. Thanks so much for the great webinar. No problem, Joey. And we do, of course, need to talk a little bit later about your. Joey is one of our, and I'll put it out there right now. She's going to be one of our authors who are one of the first authors to come through Publish Direct. And we're going to do some great things with Joey's publication. So let's head down here. Okay, Colin, I think I missed your answer, but is it recommended to get the CreateSpace expanded distribution? I just had a shipment of 15 books arrive for proofing. And I do want to see maximum distribution at $25 per book. I did mention here a Lightning Source. Is that an option? Okay, so Lightning Source, it depends. If you have your own ISBN, then you can actually go through Lightning Source and get that done. A Lightning Source does charge $75 for you to actually get your book aligned on their system. So here's something that, and it's something that I'm not saying that it's free for everyone in Speedy Co. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there is a possibility that when you're publishing through Speedy Publishing that you will not incur any charges like that whatsoever when you're putting your paperback book through Speedy Publishing Co. That is based on the fact that we have tailored or software through our CreateSpace option to try and fit within that particular realm. That the content that comes off of that particular software allows you to create a book that we're going to be able to take that particular book and run it through somewhere like Lightning Source and ensure that it fits basically with what they want. And of course, in the Speedy Publishing .co members area, which we're going to also add that converter because I think it would be very, very useful to speedypublishing.com members. We're going to move that converter into the speedypublishing.com membership area so that anyone who wants to, they will be able to get that particular converter available to them, that they can actually turn their Kindle book or their Microsoft Word book into a .mobi, or turn their .mobi into an EPUB, or turn their EPUB into a .mobi, and then see it before they actually go ahead and publish it. So they don't have actually that problem to work with at the end of the day. Okay, let's go ahead. More questions. Hey, Tam. Okay, right. No, I'm saying Tam. Do not use, sorry, I didn't answer it properly. Do not use CreateSpace Expanded Distribution, Tam. I have sent you an email. I'm not sure if you got it. We need to talk, seriously. Everyone, Tam is a very, very experienced publisher. I just want to say it out there, and I want to say that I'm very impressed with what she does. If you get a chance to say hi to her in the Facebook page, always say hi. Tam, to me, is very, very skilled at what she does in terms of publishing, and we do need to have a conversation. Do not, Tam, go through CreateSpace Expanded Distribution. We have a much better option that we need to discuss where that is concerned. So I will definitely be giving you a call. I did drop you an email. I didn't get a response from you just yet, but I will definitely be giving you a call, and we can probably talk later tonight or first thing in the AM. So, on to the next question. Okay, you can also do it right at the county. Gotcha. Okay, Glennis, I'm content to use yours for free, especially if I'm using pen names. Okay, awesome, Glennis. Okay, gotcha, Tom. Whoa, is that the last question? Okay, Mihalis, let me just double check. Mihalis, I know you were actually, let's see, let me make sure, attendee list. Okay, Mihalis. Great. So I skipped a couple of your questions, so I'm going to head back to those. I want to make sure that we get to all questions. That's what we promised today. So let's head to that. Okay. Okay, Glenn. Okay, how many images per picture books? I would probably say a minimum of 26. It depends on how you're actually doing it, Glennis. I would say a minimum of 26. So if you're doing something like a, Animal Kingdom book, 26 images is absolutely fine. I would basically use those, not anything else per se. Don't do under that amount. Definitely don't do under that amount. I would definitely say 26. It can be less. If it's a children's book, it can be less. It depends on what you're doing. But when I'm doing picture books, so I'll give you an example. Someone I know who is also a publisher, they have decided to do what are known as typical calendar books, right? Of calendar girls from yesteryear, something of that particular nature. So they're doing swimsuit calendar girls from the last, year, couple of years, whatever the case is. And they're doing that, and they have put together about 50 images. And the book is selling extremely, extremely well. Oh, yeah, 50 to 75. Awesome. That's even better, Glennis. That's a lot. That's quite a number. 50 to 75, typically. As we already know, image books that are in the Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Grey region make a lot of money for a lot of people. So that is something that we also have to be cognizant of. So I want to get back to Michaelis's questions that I skipped while trying to get everyone else. Michaelis, where are you? Okay. When I run into copyright issues, I think we got that. The product support books. Okay. I think in the interest of time, Michaelis, can you just pen any question? Okay, here we go. Gotcha. Okay, about registering a company, small. Okay, we got that question. We answered that one. Right, in terms of taxes, it really boils down to getting that. Is it possible to create more Author Central accounts without breaking the Amazon terms of service? Sorry, because I have more than 3. You can create any number of Author Central accounts you want. Here's what I do. I have my company, and my company is actually, if it's speedypublishing.com, then what I do is that I go into my own email creation service, and I would say, so it's there in 12 by 12. So there should be, and I'm going to go ahead here and say author persona management and creation. And I think this is the author persona creation sheet. I think, yeah, we go here. Let's take a quick look. Right, so here we go. So here we have Mihalis. Here's the author name, Jane Austen, Tom Sawyer, Amanda Hocking. Obviously, we should know, well, a lot of people know these names, who these guys are. So for these three authors here, this is the email that we have for Author Central, right? So those are the three that we have here. So we have the sex of the person, we have the genre, and of course we have the title. And then what we basically do is that we put in the bio, and then we put in the link to the image or that particular image and a link to the video. So we basically try and store as much information about that particular individual at that time. But in order to ensure that we don't get confused and we know where who is at what particular point in time, I know that if I want to get to Jane Austen, the Author Central email is jane@mywebsite.com. And if I want to get to Tom, it's also at jane@mywebsite.com. But what if I wanted to get to Darrell Weiss? Then that Author Central email is lloyd@mywebsite.com. So you want to ensure that you go ahead and go into the members area and use this particular sheet. If we didn't have this sheet, we would be absolutely confused. There are hundreds of pen names that we've used in the past, and to be able to find them all was a very daunting task. It's very, 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 very difficult. So we had to ensure that we found some way to make that particularly work for us. Very, very, very important there as well. So let me go ahead and grab that, and it's in the it's right here. Let me make sure to go ahead and tell you 1.4 Mihalis. So you can have any number of them that you want to have, and I typically just use my website name as that version behind it. Okay, so here we go, and you're not breaching Amazon terms of service. What I'll do is that I'll probably put something up in a Facebook page. We already emailed Amazon about this, so I know I have that training, and I think I have a snapshot or download of that in speedypublishing.com. So if you're in speedypublishing.com, that information should be there, an actual snapshot of the email from Amazon telling us that we are allowed to do that. We always like to try and back up what we're doing with empirical evidence, so that's pretty important. How much approximately licensing fiction books cost? It depends, really. It depends on exactly what it is that you want to do. It can cost, it depends on, I would say, the author and what you want to negotiate with that author at that particular point in time. I always try to negotiate some level of royalty with that author. That's the honest truth. You can buy the book directly from that person if you use what is known as work for hire when you're buying that content. But if it's existing content and that person has that existing content and you're trying to buy the publishing rights, if you think it's a really good book, then you would probably want to pay an initial amount and then pay that person a particular royalty as well. So that also is that also is important for you to look into as well. So I would probably say anywhere between 400. I have probably paid max 400, and I've probably paid like $90 for a story. I've paid about $90 for a really good fiction 50 Shades of Grey type of story, $90, which is really, really good, and it was 10,000 words. And I paid about $90 for it. And I've paid as much as $400 for another book, which was the same number of words, just because the way how it was edited and the different things that were added to that particular book in terms of illustrations and stuff like that. That book was well done, and it does sell pretty well on Amazon right now. And I think it does well on Barnes & Noble as well. So that's the basic range. Okay. We're getting tired. Wish this was recorded. It is. Well, we basically, thanks, Glennis. I didn't actually record it. Adrian, you'll be able to get it. I know you're gone, so I know you gotta quit. Is you register? Okay, so I'm gonna head down. Okay, to catch the last questions. I know I probably missed it. Okay. Okay, 5075, Glennis. Okay, so Steve says, okay, I've seen good and bad proofs from CreateSpace, especially when aligning color inside children's books. What advice do you recommend about working with CreateSpace to get the quality that you want? Okay, CreateSpace has a direct line. In fact, when you go to CreateSpace, CreateSpace can actually call you. You can actually do that. It's very, very simple. During specific hours, they will be able to contact you. Typically for children's books and picture books, there are two things that you want to remember. You have, I would do it in 8 by 10, right? In 8 by 10 size. And I think it's basically color with bleed. So what would actually happen is that you're making your image a little bit bigger than the actual print page, right, Steve? So what would actually happen is that when the printers are printing the book, they would actually cut right on the edge, and your image would go right up to the edge of that particular page, right? And I don't recommend doing it in any other way. CreateSpace is usually known as not a very, very high quality organization as a result of that. And I would typically want to go, when you're doing children's books, with CreateSpace. And I know I'm glad because Adrian is good on, she has a lot of good basketball books, and I like those books that she's doing. With respect to the size of those books, 8.5 by 10 would be one of the ways that I would definitely be publishing those particular books. And what I would be basically doing is a color with bleed, so that I would probably try to get the most out of that with CreateSpace. Now, Lightning Source is way better. There is no doubt in that. That is the truth. Lightning Source is the king in terms of publishing good quality content, and in my opinion, in terms of the quality of the actual book itself. So at that particular stage, you can do a lot. You can do a lot with Lightning Source. That being said, if you're working with CreateSpace for Amazon fulfillment, color with bleed 8 by 10. That would be the option that I would take, and that's what we've discussed with other authors and other small publishing companies that we have worked with. That would be the prudent way to actually go ahead and do it. Okay, awesome. Thanks. No problem, Steve. Okay, so guys, this is great. So we've basically spent about 3 hours thereabouts. Yeah, we spent about 3 hours, so that's cool. And of the 17 people who were on, 13 people are still here. So I consider that really, really good. And everyone who has left has said that they're just tired. Okay, guys. So we're going to have that recording. I am about to sign off. Great, Becky. Thank you. Thanks, Mihalis. Thanks. No problem, man. No problem. This is all for everyone for 12 by 12. I am going to go through the hassle now of trying to convert this recording. And we started half an hour late, so it's only going to be 2.5 hours. So everyone should be able to get a copy of the recording, and they should be able to go through it. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to add the webinar, that copy of that recording. I'm going to put it up on Brightcove, and I'm going to put it in the I'm going to probably put it down here. I'm going to put it here, somewhere here in the navigation, that everyone should be able to see it quite easily, so that you won't have to search for it at all. Just so everyone knows, eBook Cover Factory, which is one of the services that we're coming out with, is going to be pretty awesome, very, very cheap. The reason why I want to ensure that I keep on things like 12 by 12 is because if you're coming into Speedy Publishing Co., we want to ensure that you're able to, 1, get really good covers, 2, get really good content, right? Because those are things that you have to actually produce, right? The actual writing part, you guys can do it, especially if you're creating your own content, like Joanne and like a couple of the other good authors who are here. If you're creating your own content, that's up to you. What about cover images? We're going to be able to give you some really, really good cover images that you can actually create a create space cover with. Very, very simple. You're going to get it in PSD. You're going to get over 100 of those unique covers. And of course, they are, of course, similar to what maintain here. And instead of just giving you 10 PSD covers, you're actually going to get 10 PSD, you're going to get 10 GIMP, and you're going to get 10 what are known as KCCC. And KCCC is Kindle Cover Creator Compatible. So you know that Kindle now has their own Kindle Cover Creator, but it's very, very rigid and hard. So for those of us who don't actually know about Photoshop, because I'm not a Photoshop fan, nor am I a GIMP fan, what will actually happen is that you'll get that particular image in what is known as the KCCC blank, and then you're going to be able to slap that on into the Kindle Cover Creator, and then you're just going to be able to write above it, and then one click, your cover is ready. And because we give you that many options to choose from, it's going to be very, very simple and very, very easy. So that's going to be something that you definitely want to get a hold of, and we're going to be able. You're going to actually get that here as a 12 by 12 member. So some of those are going to be here available to you, and on a month by month basis. So that is one option that I just wanted to point out to everyone. So again, guys, okay, PowerPoint works well too. Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Colin. I missed the first 15 minutes, so I want to catch up on the recording. Oh, wow, Elizabeth, we actually did not start recording until we were half an hour in. I am so sorry, but you are going to get everything else. If there's anything that, Elizabeth, you have my email, so if there's anything that you want to find out or chat with me on, please go ahead and let me know. I should be able to get all of these questions here figured out in terms of getting it out there so everyone can actually look and see all of that there, all of the questions that were asked in the past or before, and that should also help you kind of gauge, what questions are you not asking that could, of course, be important to you. So, okay, guys, it's 6:12 PDT time. It's 10:12 here in Halifax. So I'm basically about to sign off. And I just want to say thanks to everyone for attending, and I am going to close down now. So don't forget to head on in to basically look on your Watch Each Step section in the navigation. You should see something. I'm going to probably put it here at the top, which would be the recording of the webinar once we're able to go live. Okay, guys, you guys have a really good night. Take care, and more is to come. Okay, bye everyone.